Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the new and exciting news that we got for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, which is set to release on both the Nintendo Switch and on PC on June 30th. And today we're going to be checking out something really cool, and that's the fact that we have the most recent developer update from director Suzuki, who took to social media to provide us with a little bit of brand new information regarding a brand new feature slash quality of life improvement being added into the game that a lot of people weren't really necessarily expecting to see happen, but it's certainly going to add a new interesting wrinkle into the mix. So we all basically know that Palicos have been rather the supportive type of pet essentially in the game. Palamutes, with the introduction of Monster Hunter Rise, have been more offensively minded, and they don't necessarily really work all that well as a support class or as a support assist. But basically now we are getting a little bit of a tweak to the Palamutes themselves, where they are not only going to be able to do a little bit more extra in combat, but just like Palicos, they are now going to have the feature and the option to be able to gather materials for you as well. So director Suzuki took to social media and posted in both the Japanese and the North American Twitter account. Both of the posts were pretty much the same, so we're just going to focus on the North American one, where it actually reads: "We're close to the next information reveal, but first, here's some info of in-game actions related to the locale exploration. When using the Great Wire Bug, the trajectory will be shown on screen. Also, a new command for Palamutes, and in quotations, sniff 'em out, has been added." Suzuki, the director for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. So first and foremost, they're adding the option where Great Wire Bugs, these would be the ones that you kind of fling yourself from one place to another in the map itself. They are basically going to give you a little bit of a direction as to which way you are going to go if you don't necessarily know where they're going to send you. So this is a little bit helpful if you haven't necessarily used all of them up yet. But other than that, if you've kind of already used one, you kind of already know where to go. And traversal with the Palamute already is fast enough. So these Great Wire Bugs, for me personally, only really help whenever you are trying to climb upwards, not necessarily go from left to right or right to left in the map anywhere else. But it's a good addition nonetheless to have a marker on screen. Then of course he mentions that Palamutes now have an option to sniff them out. Now the really interesting stuff is in the image that they decided to attach to the specific tweet. In the first image, you get to see the hunter kind of standing there with his Palico and his Palamute standing right next to a Great Wire Bug. And you see that on the tab on the right side, that would be the tab that you kind of just cycle through both in town and out and about whenever you're out in a hunt. You are now going to be able to basically choose for Palamutes to automatically do the action to sniff them out, essentially go pick up materials for you. Now the interesting part here is specifically on the left side of the screen. You do get to see specifically where the Great Wire Bug is going to be flinging you. You see a big red arrow, orange arrow sending you a specific direction. This one would be from left to right on the side of the map. So you definitely get to see which way you are going to be flung forward if you decide to pick up that Great Wire Bug, and it's going to send you flying one way or another. Now the second interesting part is, of course, that if you look on the bottom side of the map, towards the big pyramid, this would be like the big Aztec Mayan pyramid right there, you're going to notice an icon that is something like a little bit of a cloud. It has a paw in it, and then it has like a little bit, a couple of claws underneath. That is presumably where it's telling you that your Palamute is going to have this sniff 'em out feature. And you get to see this a little bit better explained in the second screen. Essentially, the sniff 'em out feature is now going to have a specific sub menu, kind of like when you're crafting. It's going to have its very own sub menu option where you could basically tell your Palamute, hey, I need you to go pick me up, and in the image that they're showing here, find me some honey. So then whenever you decide to select honey and then tell the Palamute, sniff them out, the Palamute will probably mark on the map where the honey is. That seems to be what that is going to be doing in this specific feature. Now, of course, they don't necessarily showcase it as to how many of the other items you are going to have. They do showcase, if you look on the bottom side of the left side of this sniff 'em out kind of tab, you do get to see there's 8 pages total of items. You are going to be able to tell your Palamute to like what kind of items you want them to pick up. We don't necessarily know all of the items, maybe like Rare items wouldn't necessarily be part of something that they can actually sniff out, so it's just going to be the basic items that you can then use to craft more stuff with. But you know, we'll just have to wait and see how that ultimately works out, where they show the gathering list of items that you are going to be able to choose from. Now, of course, you also see on the top where it says, like, that's just the items that it can certainly sniff out. But you also have, like, mushrooms, you have the birds, and then you have a check mark, which presumably is, like, other, you know. So you're going to have, like, a whole heck of a lot of items to send out your Palamute to be able to pick up materials for you, or at the very least, mark them on the map to tell you, you need to head this way, you know, and then I got to go pick them up. Unlike your Palico, where he just kind of goes whichever way he wants, and then just picks them up for you. You don't have to worry about it. You see them on the end of the mission screen, and then you're done. Now, at the same time, if you're looking at the honey tab now, on the right side, on the middle side of the screen, you're going to notice that, of course, you have your bag right there. It's like the red 10 and then /10. So that means that this hunter specifically, their bag is at 100. It's at 10. So it's like basically maxed out. Their bank has 100 honey, so they're good to go. But if you look on the left side of that red 10, you're going to notice that the Palamutes got 2 out of 10 honey. So basically, Palamutes are also going to have their very own, like, carrying capabilities, and they are going to be able to have a, like, item max limit, presumably, as well, based on probably the same ones that you have. So you can probably get your Palamute to carry, you know, almost the same amount of items that you're going to be able to carry, but the caveat is that they're going to have to pick them up themselves. It's not like you could just get your Palamute to bring with it, you know, into a hunt 10 mega potions, and then now on the top of the 10 mega potions you now have 20. That's not really how it's going to work. It's really going to matter on them being able to pick up the items in the hunt themselves, and then you can probably pick them up from the Palamute. We don't necessarily know if you can actually transfer them over to you be able to use them in the hunt, or you're just going to have to wait until the hunt finishes, and then they just get added into pretty much the entire collection screen. But yeah, it's interesting that they're adding this little neat quality of life improvement specifically for Palamutes. They're making them a little bit more supportive, a little bit more kind of like Palicos, which, you know, ultimately Palicos are great for support, but they're not necessarily great for traversal. Palamutes are still king of traversal. That is not necessarily going to be changed unless they actually give us an option to be able to ride a Palico, you know, which it would have been necessarily impossible for them to do, but I just wouldn't imagine them wanting to do that, you know, unless they actually add that feature. There's a pretty good chance that Palamutes are still just going to be traversal king, and just bringing a Palico with you for gathering materials isn't necessarily a good enough reason to justify, you know, having them there. So this is why that is great that Palamutes are now going to have that feature to be able to do a little bit more than just focus on fighting. But that's about all the information that I wanted to go over with you guys today. If you are brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.